Hello! In this tutorial we are going to see a few use cases of the basic camlistore client command line tools, such as camput. We are going to use the default configuration automatically generated by camlistore, or I'm going to assume that you know how to configure the camlistore tools and to start a camlistore server. The main role of camput is to push things to your camlistore server. In particular, you'll probably want to upload files. So let's get started with it. Now, as most of the camlistore client tools, camput takes a subcommand or mode. Thus, if I just run camput like this, I get a usage error, which specifies, which modes you should use, and a few examples there. So the one we're interested in is camput file, because we want to upload files. So I'm in the camlistore tree right now, and we might want to upload the readme file. So we can just run camput file./readme like this. Let's go. So it has run. We can now see with control list the list of different blobs that are stored on our camlistore server. Let's see now what's inside those blobs. And we can do that with the camget tool, which of course downloads a blob from your camlistore server. So let's do that. As you can see, in this blob, there's a bunch of metadata, and we can see the first one is camli type file. So it references a file, the one we've just uploaded. It specifies its file name and all the parts that are stored in different blobs. The contents of the file are stored in different blobs. But in this case, since the readme file is pretty small, it fits in only one blob. So here's the blob ref for this file, and it is the blob that was uploaded and stored on camlistore here. So if we get it with camget like this, we indeed get the contents of the readme that we have uploaded. Now, as you may or may not know, in the camlistore model, the blobs are immutable. And since we're doing content addressable storage, we may want, for example, to have a permanent reference to a file, and your file is going to change in time, and you want this reference to always point to the last version of your file, for example. This is what in camlistore we call a permanodes. This is the role of permanodes. And we're now going to see how to create a file content-based permanode. And the way we do that is with the -filenodes flag of the camput file command. So let's do this. Camput file-filenodes./readme. Boom. We see a bunch of blobs have been added, and we can now list again all the blobs that we have. And we now notice that we have 5 blobs, so 3 more blobs. Let's have a look now at those 3 blobs. The first one we're interested in is this one, and it is actually the key blob. It is the GPG key that is contained in this blob, because everything in camlistore that is signed with GPG. So this is your GPG key, and it was automatically uploaded by camput the first time we run it. Now the second one we're interested in is this one, and this is where it actually says, okay, I am a permanode, my camli type is permanode. You can notice that the camli signer here is actually the GPG key that we have uploaded as well. Alright, and now the third one, as we can see here, is what we in camlistore call a claim. That is how we actually model mutations. A claim will apply a mutation, a modification, to a permanode here. Here it says what kind of modification it is, so it sets an attribute, and it says what attribute is modified. It is an attribute of type camli content. And finally, we set this camli content to this value. which is actually the blob file, the file blob for the README that we've seen before. So there you go. That is how you have a permanode pointing to a file. And if I now go to the camlistore UI, you can see when it loads that I have this permanode pointing to a README. Now, one thing you can notice as well is that if I run the same command again, camput files./readme, and I list the blobs, you can see that we have the same number of blobs because we've used a content-based permanode. Now, let's get to the point of permanodes. Let's say you want to model changing your README file to the author's file. You want your permanode to now point to the author's file. What you're going to do is upload the author's file, same as we did before, and we now see that we have two more blobs. We have the one for the file blob itself as before, but this time it's for the author's file, and here is the actual content as before. So what we want to do is to modify the caml content of this permanode, which is the one we created before, and set it to this value, which is the value of the file blob for authors, right? So the way we do that is we use camput attr with those arguments. So let's run it, camput attr and all of this, boom. And we now see that we have in the list, let me get a little space here, in the list we now have one more blob, which is this one. And if we now check it out, boom, it is indeed again a claim, which again sets an attribute, the attribute caml content for this permanode to this new value, which is the one for the author's file. And if I now go and reload my camlistore UI, I can see that the permanode now points to the author's file. That's it for today.